Hi, I'm Dr. Beverly Yates, ND, with over 30 years of clinical experience. I would like to share with you the Yates protocol, which is 5 critical steps that people with type 2 diabetes must take to achieve and maintain healthy levels of blood sugar control. The first step has to do with nutrition. You know, it's been said for a very long time, let your food be your medicine, let your medicine be your food. And with that in mind, I think we all can understand that to be healthy, we have to have a healthy diet. But we also need to recognize that there are variability in how people respond to food, right? So step number 1 has got to be nutrition. That's the center, the heart of the matter, so to speak. Number 2 would be stress. Stress is a huge player in terms of blood sugar impact, and often the things that are stressful are how it's impacting the body, the person's emotions, how they're feeling, as well as their blood sugar, cholesterol levels, etc. are all impacted by stress. Number 3 would be sleep. Sleeping is healing. Healing is being able to have great sleep on a consistent basis. And people who have sleep problems almost always have blood sugar problems and are far more prone to things like insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and prediabetes. Step number 4 would be exercise, also known as resistance training. So exercise is great. Aerobic exercise, it improves our mood, etc., helps us to avoid being hangry. But here's the thing. Resistance training, strength training, working out with weights or using your body weight are a critical part of success with controlling blood sugar levels. Active working muscles are blood sugar sponges. They are essential for blood sugar control. And then step number 5 is meal timing. The time of day you eat matters a lot for blood sugar control. So let's unpack each of those steps together. Let's start with number 1, nutrition. So with my comment earlier around nutrition, let me say this, there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition. There are certainly healthier ways to eat, but even within a healthy diet, sometimes people have unusual reactions to specific foods that are otherwise healthy for most people. So if you happen to be one of those people, that matters, right? So let's say you eat a diet that includes things like quinoa or cauliflower, or kale, broccoli, etc. But what if you're a person who has an unusual reaction to something like cauliflower or kale or any otherwise healthy food, right? If you have a blood sugar spike in reaction to eating that food, you're defeating your purpose. So you need to have enough detail tuned in to know what kind of foods you're eating and how your blood sugar is responding. Being able to capture whether or not there is a spike in your blood sugar or a crash, or if you get on a blood sugar roller coaster and spike up and then abruptly crash down. Any of those things are telling you that your gut's microbiome, the flora that are in your gut, are not reacting well to that food and it's causing your blood sugar to spike or to crash. It's important to be able to tease out these details. This is why there really isn't a universal list of healthy foods that will apply to everyone, because we have bioindividual responses to what we eat. Now, let's look at the next step, which is stress. Stress can absolutely hijack your blood sugar. If you are having a stressful moment, that can cause a rise in your blood sugar, and hopefully it'll come back to a normal, healthy range. If it doesn't have the opportunity to reset though, let's say your life is overall stressful. Maybe life is unkind right now. Maybe you've got a lot of different stressors pulling on you. It could be finances, it could be other people, it could be things with your own health, it could be environmental, it could be whatever. If you're feeling stressed and you're stressed on a chronic basis without the opportunity to really rest and reset and restore, then you're going to experience chronically higher levels of blood sugar. If you recently had surgery, if you were in a car accident, if you experienced a trauma, things like that, the loss of a job, a divorce, major shifts in your life, these can all be sources of stress, and these can all cause disruptions in your blood sugar. So be aware how much stress without permission, without your consent, will absolutely take your blood sugar on a rocket ride, okay? I always say, think of stress like this. It's the bully in the room, and it grabs you by your genetic collar and slams you up against the wall of whatever is in your genes, your epigenetic expression in response to your environment. It matters a lot what's there. So your family history around health matters. And it tends to be that when we're stressed, this is what breaks, and these would be the things that show up. This is why we don't see the same things happen to people in response to the same events, because they have different risks, if you will, in terms of what could happen to them in response to stress. Number 3, that step of sleep. Oh, sleep is where all the magic happens. Sleep is your opportunity every night to hit the reset button. It's where your mind resets, your body resets, your gut resets, your spirit resets, your mood resets, and your blood sugar resets. If you aren't having good sleep, all of these different opportunities to reset, replenish, and restore are missed. And in particular, for sleep, know that poor sleep can lead to problems with poor food choices, with overeating, with cravings, and with feeling like you're a bottomless pit you cannot even tell when it's time to stop eating. These are important things to know. Sleep really can be disruptive in a similar way, actually, to stress. And if you have both issues with stress and sleep, you really have to pay attention to what's going on with your blood sugar, because you need to untie these things. Otherwise, it'll cause you to get sicker that much faster. So know that they have an intimate relationship with each other. One more thing I'll say while we're here, as we're explaining this, is that both poor sleep and chronic stress can cause two key hormones to get really disrupted. One of the hormones is called ghrelin. The other one is called leptin. I call them the twin gremlins. Now, here's the thing about the twin gremlins. When they get out of balance, it really makes it tough on people. Things that you might recognize for yourself is after a poor night's sleep, maybe you had a busy mind and you're really stressed, you're waking the next morning. Not only do you feel groggy and tired, that's bad enough, but you might also find that you are ravenous. You've got a big appetite. You cannot find enough to eat fast enough, right? And in that environment, it is really easy to make food mistakes and to eat things that are not going to help your blood sugar situation. In particular, you may notice one of two things that's common there. One is you may have a craving for sweets. You might want things like croissants and danishes and donuts and other kinds of pastries, high sugar, highly processed, ultra refined grains, adding sugar, adding artificial sweeteners, all of those things, right? That might be a real pull that you experience when you have poor sleep, high stress situation. And next morning, that might be the situation. The other thing you might experience in terms of a taste preference when you awaken for something to eat are foods that are high in calories and are umami or savory. So then you might want, say, biscuits and gravy. You might want potatoes with lots of butter, lots of added oil and salt and things, particularly home fries and French fries, things of that nature. So if you recognize that you have a pull towards those sorts of foods where it's lots of calories, nowhere near enough in the way of nutrients like minerals, vitamins, and enzymes that are found in healthy foods, then just know it's in response to the prior night's poor sleep tied with lots of stress. That is really quite the combination. And it makes it hard when you're experiencing that to feel like you really want to eat a healthy breakfast, you know? It's understandable, we're human. So I just want to untangle that and explain what's going on. There's a reason why you feel compelled to do certain things. It's not your imagination. Your body perceives the night before as have been rough, and it's looking for quick, easy, fast to digest sources of energy. It doesn't have the discernment to say, hey, I want great sources of energy. It's just like, I want something, give it to me quick.
I'm so hungry I could eat domestic caviar.
Yes.
So if you have the pastries and things like that, or you have the biscuits and gravy, yeah, it's quick. Your body can break it down. But here's the problem with that. That's a blood sugar spike. And what goes with a spike is a crash. As the roller coaster gets going, it's going to come back down, and that's your blood sugar. And so you might feel okay for about 15 minutes, and then boom, you hit that crash, and a half hour later, 45 minutes later, an hour later, you're like, oh, I don't feel good. Then the next thing you know, you want a cup of coffee or two or three, you know, or some more black tea, or maybe one of these energy drinks. Again, you're looking for energy here. And unfortunately, your hormonal situation and what you've eaten and ingested are not supporting you, all right? Then finally, when we look at step 4 here, we talk about exercise and resistance training as part of the Yates protocol. Things to know about that is being regular and consistent with it matter. How old we are matters, and our intensity matters. The research has shown, particularly for women, when we hit our 50s, so mid to late 40s into 50s, 60s, we probably benefit best from doing strength training 3 times a week. And when I say strength training, I mean go heavy. So if you're new to the world of strength training, please don't hurt yourself. You're going to start out with lighter weights, fewer reps. And once you've got good form down, you know, work with a personal trainer so that you don't injure yourself. Once you get started, and after a few weeks, you're like, okay, I got this. You know, I'm not feeling so stiff or achy or painful. Then you want to work out at a heavier level. So let's say you started out with 10 pounds and it was like a kettlebell. Then the next time you do it, you're going to go for 15 pounds. And then when that gets to feeling comfy, you can go to 20 pounds, etc., right? You're going to build up your levels that way. And in that, you're putting demand on your muscles. So earlier I said that active working muscles are blood sugar sponges. I meant it. So when you exercise, you're going to engage those muscles and they're going to say, we need energy. So you will see, in response to exercise, an increase in your blood sugar. It is normal. Don't freak out. It's completely physiologic. It's healthy. What you should also see, though, is about 30 minutes to an hour later of a decrease in that same blood sugar. Because now your muscles, once you're done exercising, are no longer actively asking for their food called glucose. They don't need it. They're okay. You're in a resting state. So that blood sugar demand went up, then it went down, and your blood sugar should settle. Should be just fine by an hour after you complete your exercise, all right? So don't panic if you're exercising and you notice, whoa, my blood sugar went up. That's okay. That's okay. It's a normal, healthy response. And then finally, the fifth step of the Yates protocol, we talk about your timing of your meals. If you're eating 3 meals a day, that's fine. Breakfast at about the same time each day, lunch at about the same time each day, dinner at about the same time each day. Here's the mistake I most commonly see people with type 2 diabetes make. They often skip lunch completely by accident. Maybe they get really busy. There's some life demand. The thing I've noticed about a lot of diabetics is that they are the rock of their community and they just do a lot for a lot of other people. But their own self-care, they're not number one on their own list for self-care. So this means that when they have a stressful day or a day where they just need a clone, whatever it might be, they wind up not eating lunch by the time they get to dinner. So it's been 6, 8, 10 hours since they had breakfast. They are starving. They're ravenous. They're hungry. So by now, it's hard to make a good decision because they're just so hungry. So people will grab whatever is going to be convenient, nearby, and easy to eat. That could be fast food. It might be highly processed food, refined food, stuff from the center of the supermarket. And those are the things that are most likely to cause problems with blood sugar. So it's ideal then with meal timing that we look at the possibility of meal planning too. So to review, for the Yates protocol, you have 5 steps that matter. Nutrition is the bullseye of the target. Then we look at factors that affect us with stress. Stress makes a big difference for blood sugar control. Then we look at sleep. Sleeping is healing. Healing is sleeping. You have to be able to sleep to have healthy blood sugar and sleep well. Sleep long enough and deep enough. 4th is going to be exercise. Exercise is always a friend to anyone who wants to have blood sugar control, and that includes strength training. Number 5 is meal timing. The time of day you eat your food matters. Allowing enough time between dinner and when you go to bed is critical. You want to have 3 to 5 hours from dinner to bedtime. You definitely don't want to go to bed on a heavy meal. That's a mistake, right? Like say you have your dinner at 11 p.m. and you're in bed at midnight. Oh, that's a mistake. That's a mistake for a lot of things, including your blood sugar. If you're doing something like 1 meal a day, if you're doing intermittent fasting, that's fine. Do whatever works for you in terms of your meal timing and your eating window and your fasting window. Just understand these rhythms matter, and our bodies absolutely respond to that. Our hormonal system, including our thyroid and adrenal glands, along with insulin response, insulin sensitivity, trying to avoid insulin resistance, all of these things come together beautifully when we have good habits around what we're eating, when we're eating, calm, not stressed, great sleep, consistent exercise that works for you. I hope you find this helpful.